come. Good evening to you both. You both well?
Not too bad. I'm all good.
Good, good. Well, I hope that remains the same at the end of the show. We'll find out. First, let's get to Pep Guardiola then, because he thinks neither Manchester City nor Arsenal can afford to drop any more points if they're to be crowned champions this season. City's win over Arsenal means that they now have the chance to draw level at the top if they beat Burnley tomorrow.
We talk immediately in the dressing room after the game. Don't lose the focus. The focus is Arsenal is top of the league. Right now, in that moment, we'll be champion. And of course, the recovery is much less than the last 2 weeks. It's just 2 days, so that's why you have to see how people recover, not just the demanding game that we had emotionally and physically. But at the same time, so we have 6 games left, so we know exactly what is going to happen when we get result, or just in case we don't get result.
Can I ask you about Rodri? You said after the game he was going to be tested. Do you know the severity of his groin injury yet?
I think for tomorrow we'll not be ready. And we see the next game's a semi-final against Southampton, or in 12-13 days against Everton.
How much does the title race change psychologically if you beat Burnley tomorrow and go above the team that you described as the best?
Both teams know, like what happened in the past with Arsenal last years in Liverpool, that both teams know we cannot lose or drop points. So now it will be difficult to recover. In our calendar is so demanding. So of course the 3 days and after, but especially when in Everton game the opponents are really, really tough.
Does the pressure shift in a title race when it's like this? Is there more freedom from a side that's chasing, or the one that's
more difficult for the mental, physically? What happened after Arsenal and go to to Burnley and perform the well level that we had to do. So we had to adjust a few things, the game from Arsenal, and yeah, go to win the game.
OK. Always fascinating to hear from Pep then. David, look, he says neither side can afford to drop points. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think it's such a tight title race. I think what Man City have shown recently is, especially with their lead man and their Maverick, which is Jurgen, they've showed a willingness to go out and win the football matches, where I think Arsenal, in comparison, they've gone out and they've not looked to win the football matches, which is disappointing. I feel like they've gone out restricted. They've not played the way they should. They should have took it by the scruff of the neck and gone out and win the football match. Not all season, but in recent weeks. But I believe that Man City just turned the corner where they're going out and just believing they're going to win every game, and especially with a man like Jurgen in your team, that is leading the players, leading the club, and the fans are loving him. I feel like they're going into any game now thinking they can win any game, and that's dangerous at the minute that Man City are like that, especially for Arsenal.
I mean, we'll come on to Jurgen in a bit, but what about the man at the helm as well?
Yeah.
His man management and what he does for those players. How impressive is he always?
He's incredible. I mean, everything he's done in his career, just unbelievable. Hopefully he's still here next year. There is a few doubts, but he could go on and win the Premier League and leave on a real high, but he's been incredible. And what he can do with players, he manages them in individual ways, and he's created another collective team that potentially is going to win the Premier League. And everyone expected Arsenal to go on and do it and to have the lead that they had. It's incredible work again from Guardiola and what he's done, because he's got numerous new players within that squad. And he's adapted them well, and they're going out fighting for each other, playing and winning football matches at a dangerous point in the season. So Arsenal they've got to get their act together and start attacking and winning football matches now.
There's a man with the long flowing locks as well who does a thing or two in a blue shirt, doesn't he? Look, let's take a look at their run-in then, because who do you think's got the favourable run-in between the two of them?
Well, looking at both of them as they come up here, I think in the Premier League now there's no easy games, and it's so tight. Anywhere you go, you're going to find difficult games. To say that you're going to go into any Premier League football match and win them, it's not easy. But I think if Man City go and beat Burnley and they beat them by quite a lot of goals with the goal difference element, and they go top of the league, I mean that is frightening for Arsenal, having Newcastle And if Newcastle go in and bounce, they've got good players, Newcastle, and if they turn up, you know, it's going to be difficult. Our tables can turn, eh?
I mean, all of Arsenal's opponents are in the bottom half. You would rather have Arsenal's running than Manchester City's running. Newcastle struggling to defend at the moment. West Ham struggling down the bottom. Burnley struggling down the bottom. Manchester City are going to be coming up against Brentford and Bournemouth.
This will
Bournemouth.
be Iraola's
Final home game.
Yeah.
Brentford hunting down Chelsea in 6th. If you were going to pick a run-in, you would pick Arsenal's over City's.
Yeah, and he talks about that psychological advantage, and he says actually even going top, you know, or going level with them, won't give them the
Nah, that's because Guardiola's one of the best managers that's ever been. And the psychological sort of games that they've both been trying to play. I think Arteta at times he sort of suffered with that in recent weeks as well, and that's probably leaked into his teams as well. Some of the stuff that he's been coming at, it's been a bit negative with the fans. And even the fans, you know, they've booed him at times in recent weeks, which isn't great. And I think that's because Arsenal have not gone out and tried to win the football matches. They've been scared of losing, and you could see that at Man City. They play well at Man City, but Man City got the result. But that's Guardiola mind games. If he goes top of the league, that is a massive advantage psychologically. That is.
What does it do to Arsenal players then? You know, when they've had that 9-point gap, and where does that put them in a mindset?
It puts them in. You're in a negative mindset because you find yourself behind because you're chasing again, and you're knowing that you're going to have to go into that game. And Newcastle, any game in the Premier League is not easy, but they're having to go into Newcastle and try and get a result to then keep up with City, which is a massive turnaround.
City have been top of the league when it really matters over the last few years. I think, as you said at the top of the show, 200 days it'll be that Arsenal have been top of the Premier League. That will end tomorrow if Manchester City beat Burnley. Since Mikel Arteta was appointed, actually Liverpool have spent the most days top of the Premier League at 620, but you just see the caveat there at the bottom. 96 of those days were during the enforced break for COVID. So if you take some of those away, I know they were the top, so you can't, but if you did, Arsenal would have the most days top since Mikel Arteta took over. But have they been top of the league when it matters? And no, they haven't. And we're talking about City almost becoming inevitable right now. It is really hard. If City are going to go from now to the end of the season winning every game, it would be 8 victories in a row. There's only one Premier League team that have done 8 Premier League victories in a row this season, Aston Villa. So it's not easy.
The mighty Villa, Dave.
Villa.
And if you look across the top 5 leagues, Bayern Munich have done it, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Inter Milan in Italy. These are teams, well, certainly if you're looking at Spain and Germany, that are really dominating the league, that aren't as physically demanding, you would say, as the Premier League in those divisions. And if you're looking at Pep's best winning runs, he's got a history of pulling together good runs. When he was at Bayern Munich, he did 19 in a row. City, that run ended in December 2017, but they won the first 18 games, which was quite astonishing that season. Barcelona, and he has done it quite a few times at Manchester City. The last time he did it was actually at the end of 2023-24. And if we're looking at 8 wins in a row, or 8 or more wins in a row, which is where we stand at the moment in the Premier League, they won the final 9 games of the Premier League season in 23-24 to beat Arsenal to the title. I know that was 2 years ago, but it's got history.
Yeah, and it feels like it just might repeat itself.
Yeah, it does. But having said that, 2 big wins back-to-back, Chelsea and Arsenal. But it's not so long ago this City side dropped points against West Ham. They're not totally invincible right now. They're not the strongest Manchester City side we've ever seen. There are ways to get at this side. So to say that they're kind of steamrolling their way through the end of the season feels a little bit too much, a little bit too far to say. It's very possible they drop points between now and the end of the season, particularly as we looked at that run-in.
But it's their players, isn't it? It's their individual performances that we looked at, particularly at the weekend in Haaland. And you mentioned the fella Cherky. I mean, he's sensational, isn't he?
Yeah,
and
he
Pep just knows how he's a maverick, and sometimes he doesn't like that in his team. You know, put players to sort of go against what he wants. But he seems to love this player. Yeah,
no, I think it's great for the Premier League. I think the Premier League lacks players like him, and I think he's outstanding. It's inspiring you to turn on the TV and watch the football. And Guardiola's embraced that. I think the team's embraced that. And when you've got somebody like that in your team that goes into them football matches, you just feel like you can win any game. You're not frightened of anyone. And I think the team has shown that. You look at Bernardo Silva and Rodri, the way they're performing now, it is it's frightening. And winning football matches, when you get into a groove of winning football matches, and certainly with a player like this, a Maverick, a leader of the team, it is worrying. And for me, Man City look like the team that will go on and win the league.
Do you see a bit of yourself in Shirky?
A bit of Shirky? I don't know. Well, no, a bit better looking, isn't I? But no, he's outstanding. No, he's what a player he is. It's unbelievable. But that's why you tune in. You want to watch these players. You want to watch them go into football matches and express themselves. Like he talks, it's an art form, football. Yeah. You don't want it to become too methodical, where you look like you're reading from a manual. You know how to play. You know, side balls.
Do you feel like the football is a bit too much like that?
Well, a little bit at the minute, because the Mavericks, the old number 10s, Zidane's, are goalkeepers now, aren't they? Like they're having more touches than they've ever had, and I don't think the fans want to see that. And certainly football's better with players like Xerxes in the team. So fair play to Guardiola for embracing him, and by embracing him, he could potentially win the league.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, to see what he can do. One player that we like watching as well, Rodri. That'll be misfortunate for them because they won't have him available against Burnley, will they?
Oh, I think even with, Rodri, unbelievable what he's gone through to get a bad injury like that and to come back. He's struggled in a few games to get his fitness, his match fitness, but he's come back and he's been outstanding. Another leader, another icon of the game, and that's another player who's banging form. And Man City, everything's pointing that Arsenal are going to have to pull the socks up and do something about it, because City ain't stopping.
That sounds like you're saying City are going to win the title.
I think they will. Yeah, I do. Really? Because I think when you get into the habit of the psychological sort of element of winning the cup against them, going and doing them within the league, and now they're just on this forward momentum, and football's like that. Once you get in the habit of winning games, it becomes so easy and natural to do that. And the players are full of confidence. They'll go into every game now like it's not a problem, we'll just get it done. Where Arsenal, on the other hand, they're in a negative mindset where they're all doubting their ability, they're doubting their manager, they're doubting how they play. And it's just becoming unnatural, and that's worrying for Arsenal, because Arsenal have been outstanding. You can't question that. Arteta, what a job he's done. The players are outstanding. What a squad they've got. But at the critical point, they're not doing it, and that is worrying over the coming weeks, because I do believe that City will go on and win the league.
The fact that they have been top for 200 days, they've been the best team by far. Is that a failure then on their behalf if they do finish second?
I think it will be, from the position that they find themselves in, and being 9 points clear only a few weeks ago, to now potentially being second in the league, and obviously coming off them 2 defeats to City. You do question yourself in the confidence within the group. I think it'll be a massive failure for Arsenal in the position that they found themselves in, from a unique point of having so many points and being ahead. The league this year has not been as competitive or as good as it has been in the past. There's teams that, your Liverpools, your Chelseas and Tottenham
Everyone's been off the ball.
Everyone's been off, and this was the perfect season for Arsenal to go on and win the league. But they've got to do something in the coming weeks, but they might not. It might be out of their hands, because City are looking good.
They are.
Well, that was huge, wasn't it? We built it up and it didn't disappoint, and it now means that City trail Arsenal by 1 game, which of course is Wednesday against Burnley, and by 3 points. If they win at Burnley, they are top of the table. They've been there only 6 days all season. Mike and I are privileged enough to be at the Etihad, bringing the show to you. As I said on the day, Kev, sometimes we talk up these games and they disappoint, but that one didn't at all, did it?
No, it didn't, and I think Mo's going to show you a lot of them, the good clips and some pretty ugly clips. But yeah, I think throughout the day, you're sort of hoping that when 1 and 2 go against each other, you're hoping that it's going to be a game like what we seen yesterday. And credit to both of them. I think even if it would have ended the draw, we would have come out of it thinking that's probably fair. But Man City, they've just got this little bit of momentum going at the moment. So next blow to Arsenal. Let's see what they can do and produce next week.
What did you make of the technical level on display from both teams?
Yeah, look, I think you can never ever take it away, because the top 2 in the country anyway, and the money what's been spent on the players there. But I think we're going to have a look at him in a minute. But Bernardo Silva, for what he's producing and what he does, his all-around game was showing that what Man City are going to need if they're going to win the league. But yeah, some of the some of the bits what we're going to see in the next couple of minutes is incredible, and it's what we want to see from the top two in our league.
Yeah, we'll come to Bernardo Silva in a moment. He's been here 9 years. Cherki's been here 9 months. But he's making quite an impact in the second half of the season, isn't he?
He certainly is. He's been given his head, isn't he, in a central position. Been given a lot of trust from his manager, Pep Guardiola. And he scored a wonderful opening goal. I mean, you could always see him in the game just foraging drops, and it drops nicely. But once he gets in that position, if you just take it back there, yes, it's a dangerous position, but Arsenal are all sort of matched up here. You know, you think it's got to be something special to score from here, Kev?
Yeah, exactly that. And then just talking off here a bit, and then it's just a lovely little bit of feet, and Mo mentioned, and it looked like a little bit of what we've seen years and years ago in a Georgie King Clasley, little jink through, and then a lovely finish.
Yeah, it was. He just picks the ball up, and I'm looking from an Arsenal point of view. Can they do anything different? Maybe can Gabriel engage just as that ball is just dropping off the back? Can he engage a little bit more? But he doesn't really want to leave that hole for anybody to start sprinting into. So I get why he's held his position. And it's just a lovely jink, a lovely shimmy, great quick feet. And the lad's been absolutely brilliant in recent weeks. And that's just continued his fine form. It was a mesmerising first goal that opened the scoring, Steve.
There was much discussion before the game, the fact that Arsenal didn't need to win it, about how their approach would be. Did that surprise you in any way?
Yeah, because I thought, it was a game that they didn't have to win. Because if they come out a draw, that means that no matter what City done during the week, they'd still be top of the league with that extra point. But what it does do now, and what it showed, is that that's how they're probably going to attack for the rest of the season, I should imagine. And when they come out and they press Man City, it probably caught them a bit by surprise as well. And some of the moments what you'll see here, what they created, apart from, I think Donnarumma obviously was blamed for the goal, but he made some fabulous saves off the back of that.
Yeah, I was really surprised, Steve, if I'm honest. I thought we all knew what Manchester City were going to do. They had to win the game. We knew they were going to be on the front foot. They never play any different anyway, but with Arsenal's quality, their goalkeeper, the defence, their strength in midfield as well, I thought this is an opportunity for them to sit back and actually hit on the counter-attack. There was none of that. They were absolutely on the front foot. Let's have a look at some of the times. Sometimes actually when they lost the ball and they're pressing, I mean, here's an occasion where they lost the ball. And look at some of these players straight away. You've got arms up in the air everywhere. Everybody's saying, right, it's press time. And they lock on. Everybody's pointing. Everybody. They're showing each other, right, that's your man, that's your... They're almost going man to man as well. And what I was really impressed with was it's okay going man to man in forward positions, but it was this. It was this. They were happy to actually leave a central area, some of their centre halves, but you look at all of this, it's man to man absolutely everywhere, ready to press. And at the top end, if I had longer arms, I would show the right back as well. But they were brave as lions all over the pitch. And there we go, mistakes from Manchester City. And again, in this situation, they get the ball from a goal kick. And straight away, they're all locked in as well. Again, look at this. Gabriel, happy to just leave 1v1 at the back, in central areas. Erling Haaland, again, look at them. The energy in the press. I never saw this coming, Kev, but they got a lot of chances from it as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And it sort of looks like it caught Man City by surprise. It caught all us by surprise. But it looks like it's caught Pep Guardiola and Man City all by surprise.
Yeah.
But once they go 1-0 down, I mean, I think
well, exactly. This is from 1-0 down, as you say, Kev. It's
but you can see them all now, look.
Exactly, look at this.
Yeah,
look at this.
As you mentioned, look.
Declan
even
Rice.
Here, look.
Yeah, all lock in. And so this is Manchester City having just gone 1-0 up, Steve. Only 30-something seconds later, and Arsenal get back into it. OK, it's a mistake. And I don't know, in this situation, when we just run it slowly, do you think Kuzanov can almost protect his goalkeeper a little bit more? Let's just highlight him and Havertz here. When the throw-in goes back to the goalkeeper, I thought there might be a little block, a little bit of...
I think he's expecting this to go down the line, so it's sort of catches him by surprise, because you see him telling them to get up there and throw it down the line. But I don't think that even Donnarumma expected that a forward is going to be, and I think that's why they caught them out and they were able to get back into the game quite quickly. And it was excellent by Arsenal. This is, again, really good.
Yeah. So this is at 1-1 now, and again, brilliant pressing from Arsenal. And this is to go 2-1 up, Steve. I mean, lots of people might have been surprised by the tactics, but they really could have won the game through these tactics. At 1-1, pressing like this, getting a chance like this. I mean, the game could have been so different. They hit the inside of the post. In fact, I think they hit the woodwork twice. And we talk about fine margins. This is a problem. You know, let's just take this back. Martinelli comes on as a substitute.
Can I just go back on that, Mo, there? Because you've got to remember that's Donnarumma, who's just gifted them a goal a goal, if you like.
Yeah.
This is 2 fabulous saves, what he's just made there, to keep them in the game off the back of Arsenal's press. And then again, I know you're going to go on to this now, and Martinelli, and just getting it wrong. When you get it wrong, how Man City can then punish it, and they do.
Yeah, they do. And not only Donnarumma saves, but this bit of distribution here. I mean, Arsenal aren't in the worst position. OK, an attack has just developed on the far side, but there's lots of Manchester City players over there as well, so they're pretty safe in this situation. But what Martinelli can't do in this situation is move out and leave O'Reilly to break, and that's exactly what he does. And he presses the wrong player.
And that's the player he's just sacked him around this middle area to get that one. He just gets it wrong here.
Yeah, he does. And on the back post, just keep your eye on Erling Haaland here. He actually wants this contact. He runs into Gabriel. Now he's grabbed him. He pulls him, it doesn't come. He gets behind him, and then he grabs him again. Basically manhandled him twice. And that's one thing you can't do against Erling Haaland. I know Gabriel's strong, but surely you've just got to give him a little bit of space. And, you can't wrestle with somebody that big and that strong.
No, they're both too big, tall. But, I think I heard someone call them two Adonises, of the game. And it felt like Gabriel wanted to have that fight with him instead throughout it. Yeah. Instead of thinking, no, I'll keep you in my sights, keep away and keep your yardage away from him and then be able to engage. But, he gave what Haaland wanted, and Haaland probably most of the time, once he gets what he wanted, he gets the goals.
You mentioned Bernardo Silva's all-round performance. We're lucky enough to have a chat with him later.
Yeah.
His last experience of this fixture. I mean, over 9 years he's produced these performances, but he seems to be everywhere.
Let's just admire it, Steve. I mean, you're right, absolutely everywhere. This is almost in a left-back, left midfield area, winning the ball, watching his team, go and break. But the amount of times he was picking the ball up, the spare ball up, reading play, and then his distribution is absolutely brilliant. He gets around the pitch, he sniffs out danger. I lost count of the time. Look at this. I mean, he's almost playing like a sweeper on occasions, clearing the ball, and that wasn't the only time. I mean, talk about an all-round midfield performance, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been incredible, and when you see the stats come up in a bit, you can only, wonder how he does it.
But even in these
this is when he's one
ahead.
Yeah. And he ends up being 1v1 against a 6'2" centre forward who's quick and deals with it. This is brilliant. I think he got called Cannavaro for this, but you can see him looking over his shoulder, looking for Gyökeres, and then watch him get out and want to go and do it again, and then again jumping. These moments, just knowing what other guard's going to do, getting up to the ball again. I mean, incredible. He's an incredible player. He's been an incredible ambassador for Man City as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's quite an incredible performance from him. And a few quick stats there.
Yeah, I mean, with your managerial hat on, I mean, these are just ridiculous, aren't they?
And you can see why, Pep was, sort of giving him to the crowd and saying, take it, take the plaudits, it's what you've done. Because this is incredible what he's put out for Pep Guardiola over these 9 years, what he's been here. 452 appearances in all competition, most across all Europe's top 5. To run the most he has this season, and then, Mo never played fewer than 45 matches a season. So know how hard it is to do that in the Premier League. It's incredible.
I don't think I played 45 minutes in a Premier League season, let alone...
OK, everyone's analysing these. 6 left for City, 5 left for Arsenal. Reminder, if City win at Burnley are relegated and City are top for just the 7th day all season. What are we thinking now? Which way are you swaying? Team Arsenal or Team City?
Well, I think if Arsenal are going to win the title, they've got to win all 5. That's what I believe, because I believe that you've got to keep putting the pressure on City now. I truly believe that Man City are going to go to Burnley in midweek and win. So I'm going to think that's then big 2 games for them. 2 home games against Newcastle and Fulham. They must have 6 points then.
OK, little bit of hope for Arsenal fans. This is who they've got left to play. They've beaten them, each and every one of them, already this season. And last season, when, of course, they didn't play Burnley. However, there wasn't the pressure cooker situation quite the same.
That's exactly it. There's a lot of pressure on at the moment. Individually, you'd say that they're favourable teams to be playing. Probably the best team being Newcastle at the moment, but they're in tatters. Their performances aren't great at the moment. So Arsenal have got some decent fixtures. And, as you say, recent history against those teams is looking favourable.
It's going to be fascinating. We have a title running.
Right, good morning, Charlie Austin. We're going to go through a number of factors that could be key when it comes to who wins the title. And we're going to start with the obvious place, Charlie, and that is the fixtures, right? Arsenal's. Do you believe that their run-in looks a bit more easy on paper?
Yeah, on paper, but that, of course, that means nothing. I think as you look at it now going into this business end with these games to go, it's almost how much do they really want it? And you can say, yeah, we want it. Of course, we put everything into it. We're doing this, that and the other. But I just don't feel like that's always enough on the paper. You look at Newcastle, you expect Arsenal to win their home games, all right? You really do. And the Fulham's, the one that's a standout one for me is obviously the West Ham game away, because West Ham are fighting for their lives for a completely different scale. They're trying to stay in the Premier League. So, but as you look at that, you are thinking home games are so important. But also then you're thinking, where's the goals? And you have to look at the Burnley at home, Fulham at home. They're the one where the goals are going to come in.
Right, OK. Well, Tim Sherwood was there yesterday, and he then went through the Manchester City fixtures, and he particularly picked out Everton and Bournemouth away as places they might slip up.
No, listen, I agree. Everton were good at the weekend. They really was. But I think they'll win. I think they'll win at Everton. The toughest one I think on the away game is Bournemouth.
Yeah.
It's a Bournemouth one, Tom, because
that Burnley game's tomorrow, by the way, not tonight.
The Bournemouth one, because that's Andre Iraola's last home game for Bournemouth. So I feel like that is with how good Bournemouth have been this season. They're still fighting to try and get into European places. I just feel that's a standout one where they may drop points there.
Right, we're going to come back to that, by the way. We've got a lot. Right, let's get back to those title predictions then. We've gone through the fixtures for Arsenal and the fixtures for Manchester City, Charlie. Let's have a look at what you have predicted for these and how you see it panning out over the next few weeks. It's coming up now.
It's coming, here we go.
OK, so you've got... that's interesting. You've now got just... So Arsenal and Manchester City dropping just 2 points in the run-in, which means it goes down to goal difference.
And you need to... The last time I've done this prediction, the very next game, Man City drew with Nottingham Forest, didn't they?
For context there, a while ago, you had Arsenal and Manchester City winning every game apart from Man City. We're going to beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
But since then, Arsenal have dropped points against Bournemouth. You were right that Man City were going to beat Arsenal, but before that, Man City had dropped points as well, hadn't they?
Yeah, previously, yeah. But just so I look at that's how I honestly see it now. With Newcastle, for 2 back-to-back home games for Arsenal is massive to continue their run going forward, isn't it? Like I know they've had a bad spell at the moment, at almost the wrong time. But to have 2 back-to-back home games is vitally important. But I think with the West Ham game for me is a tough one because they are fighting to stay in the Premier League.
So you've got Manchester City to win it on goal difference there, because yesterday Tim had Arsenal winning every game, but Manchester City drawing away at Bournemouth, so same thing, but also drawing away at Everton, and that had Arsenal winning the title. All right, I think we might keep this one going throughout the week with the other guests as well. But, OK, so much is on the managers as well at this critical phase of the season. No question that Pep Guardiola has the experience. 12 league titles in Spain, Germany and England. Mikel Arteta, he does just have that one trophy, and that was the FA Cup for Arsenal. So how big a factor is Pep's experience?
I think Pep's experience in general is a massive factor. Regardless of him winning all the trophies that he has, he's arguably one of the greatest managers that we've ever seen. But what will come up with over and over again is that Mikel Arteta's only won 1 trophy. And that will be that'll be the issue, and that'll be the comment that keeps coming. But with Pep, he's been there. He knows how to do it. He knows how to get his team over the line, and so does his players. Whereas the problem with Arsenal at the moment is the manager and the players don't know how to get it over the line.
So, but how do you think Arteta's handling this situation?
Well, I think they're at the moment.
Right, well, because we're talking about on the pitch, but also in the media, etc. as well.
Tom, if we're talking about over the last, say, month or so, they haven't won. The games that they've come back and the performances they've shown have not been the thing. I do believe Arsenal are creating their own noise and their own talking points for us to talk about, the media to talk about things that they're doing. That's so, say, on the training pitch. Well, we all get to see it. If you're going to, I just think they've created their own noise and their own commotion, and now this is part of the downfall of Arsenal at the moment. Because it's been in their hands. It's been in their hands and they've been in control, Tom. And they've almost just give it away to Man City.
Right, well, another key factor in the coming weeks will be the fitness of key players. Michael Bridges joined us in the studio. Michael, what are the big concerns for each club?
Well, there are a few concerns for Arsenal and Manchester City, who've had a fairly settled and successful starting 11 in recent weeks. But there was one big concern from the weekend. Rodri substituted in the 88th minute on Sunday with a suspected groin injury. Now, Pep Guardiola said after the game they needed to assess the extent of his injury. Now, we may find out more this afternoon. Listen up, Manchester City fans. Pep Guardiola faces the media 12:30 this lunchtime. Of course, you can see that live right here, and he'll be certainly asked for an update on Rodri. Now, as for Arsenal, well, Arteta was desperate to get back Bukayo Saka in the team on several occasions. He said it's a matter of days, not weeks, for his return from an Achilles injury. But, as Arsenal fans know, Saka hasn't played since the Carabao Cup final, which has coincided with Arsenal's slump in form. Now, Arteta has also said first choice right-back Jurrien Timber is close to a return from a groin problem, but didn't make the squad at the weekend. Now, another key defender is Ricardo Calafiore, could play centre-half at left-back, of course. Again, he's said to be close, but like Timber, was missing at the weekend. The return of those three players could be a huge boost for Arsenal. Back to you.
Yeah, Michael, it could be. Charlie, we'll start with the Rodri one. How big a blow would that be for them if he's unavailable?
A massive blow for them, but we've seen how important he's been for Manchester City over the years, this season. The business end of seasons, he's been so important. Yes, he doesn't get the headlines for the scoring the goals, etc., but for the midfield type of player he is. And we've seen it in previous years when he hasn't been playing. It's a position that they haven't been able to cover over and have anybody replace him. So if he's out for a certain period of time, then it's going to be a tough. You can't replace a player like Rodri in that middle.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be a big blow. How much of Arsenal missed Saka, do you think?
Of course they've missed him. Any team would miss a player like Bukayo Saka in the team that has not been playing, not injured. He's the guy that they look for. If they're not playing well, he's the one that you think, has got a bit of a magic that can turn the game on its head. So, of course, you're going to, again, miss players like him. And you can see that in the fixture slump that's happened, where since he's been out, the performances have gone downhill drastically.
A lot of Arsenal fans have been saying that Calafiore's been underrated this season, but Timber has been one of their players of the season. What about those two?
Well, Calafiore, you could be saying he's underrated because of how well the other defenders done and kind of have overshadowed him. And then when Timber's been playing, he's also been popping up the goals. They're both. I think when they've played, their whole back line have been so important and so strong, and all the players that have been in the Arsenal situation have kind of cemented themselves in positions. And then when they've got injured and been out, they've dropped off. So it's always been like a talking point of, have we missed them? If they was playing, we'd be so much better.
So that's fixtures, that's managers, that's injuries. But now in terms of inspiration, Ryan Cherky has been a key player in Manchester City's resurgence in recent week. 10 goals, 14 assists in all competitions. And he scored a wonderful goal on Sunday. But does he get more freedom than Arsenal's Maverick player, Eberechi Eze? Right, Charlie, so Pep seems happy to give Cherky a bit of a free role to make a difference in the final third. Is it working?
yeah, of course it's working. We've seen that at the weekend. We've seen it over the last couple of weeks. Of course that bit's working, but previously he wasn't give that such freedom. And I see that because Man City were chasing down Arsenal and they had everything to gain and nothing to lose. So they've give him that freedom in the final third to go and be the match winner. But that comes with a lot of pressure also. So it's all right having the free role if you're not having to do the defensive side, but you've got to perform and bring the goods up the top end. And he has been phenomenal in these last 2 months. He really has.
But Eze, for Arsenal, doesn't seem to have as much freedom, does he? When he plays in the central midfield, he's not really as pushed on as a number 10. He's a little bit deeper than that. And sometimes he's pushed out wide with a very specific role to do. Should he be given more freedom?
But the straight answer is yes. That shows the two types of managers, just maybe that little acute change, and it's working for Man City where it isn't with Arsenal. We've seen what he can do at Palace. He was phenomenal. Then he come to Arsenal. He's been asked to do a little bit of a different role, and he's not performing as well as he did over the last few seasons. But maybe it is time. Maybe it is time for Arsenal now just to give him that little bit more freedom to go and produce the goods that we've seen over the years at Palace.
There was a moment against Aston Villa where Eze didn't track back, a run of Matty Cash, actually, who scored. And Eze was substituted at half-time in this game, and it took him several weeks to get his place back. I mean, is it kind of a punishment for a player trying to be more of a maverick and not listening to the manager's instructions?
Well, yeah, obvious, because we're bringing that point up again where he didn't track his runner. Matty Cash scores and then he gets pulled off at half-time. So what's the reasoning for it? Well, you didn't track your runner. Not because of tactical change or anything like that. If you're saying tactical change, yeah, because you want a player to go there and do the job that I'm asking. But maybe that's not Eze's play. That his place is give him the freedom and he will create something. He will create something for the team. He will create something for the forward lines. And also, he's got a great chance of giving Arsenal 3 points.
But finally, a critical issue, now this is just for Arsenal rather than Manchester City, of course, is a big decision on the strikers, OK? We know for Manchester City, it's Erling Haaland. He's one of, if not the best in the world. Who would you be starting, Kai Havertz or Victor Gyökeres if you're Arteta?
The tough question is, I've said my piece on Gyökeres, same with Havertz over the time. The problem is they're completely different strikers. Now, what do you want from your centre forward? Because if it's goals, you're playing Victor Gyökeres. He's got 18 goals in all competitions. Or if you want someone that's going to link up the play and you're going to have runners in behind, it's going to be Havertz. But now it's all about goals, and I would have played him. And I was shocked when he didn't play at the weekend. I really was, because we'll come on to it later. Don't get me wrong, the credit Havertz for this goal was he sets the tone. He makes mistakes from the goalie, but we'll come on to it later. The miss right at the death in the game could be an interesting one. Could be a real interesting one.
Yeah, but in fairness, a few people have been saying that in the big game, Gyökeres should have been on. But Havertz did score, even if it was a goal like that.
This is what I'm saying. You've got but you say a goal like that. That's not. He creates the problem. He sets his team press up high up the pitch. He presses a Man City goalie. He forces him to that mistake, and rightly so, gets his reward for a bad touch, closes down the press, and it goes in. And look, he got his team back in the game.
Yeah, we'll have a look at a kind of comparison between Havertz and Gyökeres. And there are different types of strikers. Certainly, if you look at in all competitions there, Havertz played the more games, the goals per game is actually quite similar but better for Gyökeres. But Havertz there with more assists, of course. He doesn't always play as a striker, I suppose, which would help that, I guess. But if we've relocated, right, to focus on one incident from the game on Sunday, all right? So we've got a former Premier League striker here. Very good one as well, Charlie, and with us today. So I wanted to analyse that Kai Havertz header in the closing stage at the Etihad, which you brought up. It could have a huge influence on the title. Right, Charlie, we'll show you the chance. Tell us, is it difficult? If so, how difficult?
Well, for me, when it comes back, it's the cross. The cross that makes for me makes the chance quite an easy one, because the pace is on the ball. The pace on the ball, and now you've almost just got to direct it. But you've still got to direct it in a play that you can't just direct it towards goal, you've got to direct it down. Because let's be honest, the pace on it. So if he heads the ball down here, either side of the goalie, it is in. But for me, all he tries to do, for me, on Havertz's chance, is he just makes contact with the ball. That he's just trying to make contact with the ball and direct it towards goalwards. I'm saying you still got to make contact, but you still got to direct it into certain corner, because he's headed it down the middle of the goal. because even if it's on target, I mean, that's going straight into the goalie's hands.
So, so it's not technique or anything like that. It's just that. What is the?
He makes connection with he makes connection, fine, but he doesn't direct it. He doesn't direct it. This is just going straight up. This is straight over. Yeah, connection, but look, he's got to head that down. So you can say what it is. Ultimately, that's a massive chance, and it's a poor header in the end.
Is that as a former Premier League striker? Was that an easy chance?
Because you as a centre forward, that's what you want. You want them. You want balls coming in the box with serious pace, and you can just head it straight towards goal and direct it in the corners. And listen, that's what a lot of goals are scored from headers. I was fortunate enough; I was half decent at heading here.
And how important could that miss be? Because that's the difference between. Everyone said that if Arsenal drew that game, they'll win the title, and they didn't. They lost.
Yeah, they did. And the thing is, and this is where I'll come back to it becomes so important when you ask me regarding Gyökeres and Havertz and would Gyökeres scored it. I'm going to say for a natural goal scorer with good heading ability, that ball ends up in the back of the net, and that's why I have to say if Gyökeres scored, it was on the pitch, and I think he scores.
Right. Okay. So Arsenal are in action at the weekend, but before that, Manchester City are in action